I've always been a dreamer. My name is Iseoluwa. I'm a creative. My mind is my greatest asset, and life is my muse. I've always been a dreamer. Growing up, I wanted to be many things. I, at some point, wanted to be a criminologist. I wanted to be a singer, a performer. Beyonce was my role model. I wanted to become a fashion designer at some point, and I actually did pursue a career in fashion designing. And I'm sure that maybe sometimes in the future I'll get back to it. But my point exactly is I've always wanted to be many things. But through all of these, my love for the arts, for media and entertainment remained unwavering. And also in the same way, people also had their different dreams from me. Growing up, some family members used to call me Lawyer Kekere. Some people used to call me doctor. Some people used to say, oh, you become a journalist because you have a sharp mouth and you can talk a lot. And yeah, it was always different things. Different people had different ideas of what they thought I should be based on their perception of me. If I'm to talk about how and when my creative journey started, I would say it was way back when I always thought of becoming a singer and a performing artist. I remember that back then when I was in secondary school, I used to gather my friends and we had a dance group. We used to go to one place like that to do dance rehearsals, and we used to sing and we used to compose songs. And okay, I think there was even one time where my dad found out that I had gone to an event center to find out how much they were leasing their property for events because I wanted to organize a show with my friends and all of that. So I'd say really, I think that's how my journey as a creative began. But also growing up in the midst of all the dreams that other people had for me and the expectations and the many things that I also wanted to become. I was at the point where I wasn't so sure what I wanted to do, right? I knew I wanted to go to school and I wanted to be educated, I wanted to go to uni. But the way some people will say, oh, I want to study law, I want to study medicine, I want to study engineering, is this or that, is this or nothing else? I never had any of that. I knew I wanted to do big, significant things with my life. However, I wasn't able to just place a finger on how I wanted to achieve any of those things that I wanted to do. Until one day when my sister was doing a convocation in Ife, OU, and I went for the convocation, and I happened to stumble on a couple of people who were dancing. They were all doing a uniform dance, right? It was a bata dance. And I was like, oh, who are these guys? And they're like, oh, they are they're theater art students who are also, having their convocation today. Like, oh, this looks interesting, right? I remember how fascinated I was that day. I saw them dancing and I was like, so you mean these guys came to school to learn how to dance in an harmonious way like this? And this is art, this is beautiful. And I was so fascinated. I remember that I begged one of the people who were there together to, let's take a walk to the Department of Theatre Arts. And I went there. And fortunately for me also, they were having a rehearsal. They were rehearsing for their convocation play. And I just knew that was it. The way people say that, maybe your life partner, you just see them and this is the person. Or it was just that moment. And I was just like, this is it for me. I'm going to come back to the school, this exact school, and I'm going to come and study theatre arts. And from that moment, I went back home and started researching about theatre art, performance art, and I knew that was it for me. And that was it. These days, I know that it's easy for people to think people who create content or content creators and creatives generally are doing it for the money. And while that may not be untrue, for me, my love for the arts, for creativity, for telling stories for creating content didn't come from the maybe recent surge of people wanting to become a content creator to the end that they can make money. I love to tell stories, primarily for the fun of it. I grew up, with my grandpa and my dad telling me stories. And I can say that, that was how my love for storytelling started. I remember my grandpa had this artificial teeth that he used to, bring out every time to tell us funny stories and to, scare us and all of that. And it was so nice. My dad used to tell us different stories of life in the village and how, many things happened. And all of that actually, inspired my love for storytelling. I believe that stories are the sum of who we are. They're the sum of the things that we either did or didn't. They're the sum of our lives. And to tell an intriguing story, an entertaining story, in a way that you still get to pass across an important message, for me, is the old you, right? And I really believe that we can make a huge impact in our world just through the stories that we tell. I believe that to find people who believe in your dreams, who are genuinely interested in them, are a blessing. And I believe I'm blessed with such people, and I'm grateful for every single one of them. I first started creating content in 2019. I never got to post most of the content that I created. Then fast forward to 2020, during the COVID, I started creating content and I actually started posting on YouTube. However, I got to the point where I took a break. For so many reasons, I never really got to share why. And I can say that some of the reasons why I took the break was because I got to the point where I started putting myself under the pressure to create good and perfect content, to, create for the money, because, people saying, if you do content, I did this, you're going to blow, you're going to make money and all of that. And I yielded to that pressure. Forgetting that I started to create content for the fun of it. I started to create content because I loved it. And I still love it. And that's why I'm still here. I wouldn't say I regretted taking the break because I think it was necessary at the time. However, I believe it was too long a time to stay away from creating content, and I could have made much more progress if I had just stayed consistent and stayed through. Right? Even at the time where I wasn't so sure, even at the time where I, needed clarity. And even now, I honestly wouldn't say that I have it all figured out, but I'm figuring it out. And I know that clarity would come by the day. It's a slow process. But quitting doesn't make it any faster or any easier. So if you're creative and you are in the process of figuring it out, I'd say don't quit. Stay through. Clarity will come in the process. Just stay through. Talk to people if you feel the need to. Don't shut yourself out. I'm a creative. My mind is my greatest asset, and life is my muse, and it is my dream to dazzle the world with the beauty of creative storytelling.